Yeah, not a lot of Volvos can do that. Oh, that's really actually very fast.
That's faster than a Ferrari 360. And
it is just a really nice thing to do some miles in.
Someone in a Volkswagen ID3 wondering if they bought the wrong car. The answer is yes, they have.
It's actually a lot of fun.
So, let's get going.
this is the new Volvo EX30, a car with a lot going for it. It's the most eco-conscious car that Volvo have ever made. The interior is basically made of people's old rubbish that they've thrown away. It has a large soundbar, not dissimilar to the one underneath your TV, and it is the cheapest new Volvo on the market today. And there was something else. Oh yes, it's also the fastest Volvo ever made.
Launch time. 3.89 seconds. It's a little bit off the time they claim, but the road is wet and a little bit slippery. Actually, considering that, it's not bad at all.
And then let's just... Yeah, not a lot of Volvos can do that. Oh, that's really actually very fast. That is really actually very fast. A bit wet out as well today, just for added jeopardy.
So I'm just going to do a 0 to 60 quickly now. This will do it in 5.3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. I mean, man, that's quick. And that's the thing. The fastest, the twin motor performance model, does it in 3.6 seconds, right, to 62. Anything below 4.5 seconds is devastatingly fast these days. That we know, right? I think this car, I maintain the single motor rear wheel drive is the sweet spot. 5.3 seconds to 62 on an everyday car is really fast. I think we get carried away with massive figures. That's really fast.
Oh crap, red error. Just did a cheeky lane change there. And that is one of the definite benefits of electric cars. Glad I had my mirror set up because I quickly checked them and my rear view mirror. There was a gap and I was able to just zip across. That instant performance is so useful for doing those kind of manoeuvres.
And the hilarious quickness is just one of the many things to talk about. But let's start with the basics. The top spec model has a 69 kilowatt-hour battery, a range of 296 miles, twin motors with 428 horsepower. It charges at up to 153 kilowatts for 0 to 80% in under half an hour, and yet it's also pretty good value for money.
This makes more sense. It's got a great range, it's got good performance. It's interesting. I can't believe how quick even the most basic of the EX30s is.
Tell you what, driving on this road actually handles really well. I mean, for like a normal kind of family electric Volvo, it all feels very balanced and predictable. Yeah, you do feel totally in control of it. So it's only better in the performance mode, performance all-wheel drive. So it should give me a bit more performance. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Blimey. That's crazy. I mean, it does pitch a little bit when you accelerate. You ready? Really pushes you back and the nose comes up like a speedboat. But wow, this is actually pretty mental. The brakes feel fairly natural as well. They can sometimes be grabby in electric cars, but this is good. In fact, it's just a little bit too good. I'm starting to feel sick.
And the ride is really comfortable. It's difficult to pick holes in it, really. Admittedly, we're on very smooth, flat roads here in Barcelona, which are very different from the battered roads we have to drive back in the UK. But whether we've been on the motorway or in town or on these twisty country roads, it's been very well controlled in the way that it rides, very nicely cushioned. And the handling's also pretty good, really. Now, this is an electric SUV, so a low-down hatchback is going to naturally handle with a bit more poise than this. But to be honest, this stays remarkably flat through corners, and the steering is really nicely weighted. So you've always got confidence over what the front wheels are doing, and it's just a really satisfying car to do some miles in.
Here's a speed hump to test out the suspension. It's one of those brutal ones, really abrupt. Oh yes, dealt with that really well. The suspension on this car is so good. It's very, very comfy. Now this is an even bigger speed hump, but a more progressive one, and yeah, again, oh yes. I am so impressed with how this car deals with bumps. It's very, very comfy to drive. Volvo have nailed it, they really have. It's so relaxing, you know, this piloted drive system. It can't change lanes for you like the system in the Tesla Model 3 can. However, that will be added in future. And now focus on driving. Look, I'm so busy looking across here. There's some sensors there that are looking at my eye movements, and they think I'm getting distracted or tired because I'm looking at there to see what's going on with all the systems. That saw me yawning and getting to sleep. That was brilliant, that was. It did its job there. So I've been up super early, woke up at 4 AM to catch the flight. I was just there, cruising along, yawning, and I thought I was like fully with it, but that made me realise I was starting to blooming drift off. Absolutely 100% did its job.
But really, it's only the raindrops that you can hear in this interior because it's very refined. So road noise, wind noise, you're very well isolated from that in this interior.
What I can tell is that it's a reasonably quiet car, bit of wind flutter from around here, very minor road noise from the tyres, generally very, very peaceful. And these seats, which are extremely comfortable, just make it even more relaxing.
Give it a little punch. It's really smooth, the whole thing is very smooth. Obviously it's quiet because it's an EV, but even so, you can sometimes hear wind noise and things like that, and it feels like it's very, very well put together actually. And I've got no problem with cost cutting if things are interesting. If you're going to take cost away, add creativity or practicality, then I'm all ears.
There's not a heads-up display either. Why isn't there a heads-up display? That'd be perfect. I mean, I really do like to see the speedo there, or especially there. There is not ideal. Yes, the number's big, but I'm still having to glance across to see it.
But it does irritate me that Tesla-esque speedo is there. That's the only place the speedo is, not here. I just think, like the Model 3, they really dropped the ball. They could have just used a fairly cost-effective head-up display. Head-up displays are brilliant, and they're discreet. Why? Why put it in the middle? I don't want to turn my head to look at what speed I'm doing when I come into a speed limit. I want to be looking ahead, looking up and down, not to the side, but there we go.
So performance, very silly. Don't worry about this dual motor card, not necessary. Handling, lovely, once you stop driving it, like a silly sausage. Very, very smooth, very comfortable, very quiet. A little bit of road noise I noticed on the motorway, I guess because of that slightly slab-sided front end. I really like this steering wheel. It's lovely and thin, it's a nice shape, and it's got big clicky buttons, something we could maybe do with a little tiny bit more of. And actually the issue of absolutely everything relying on this screen is slightly compounded by the fact that this car, like the Smart #1, has a fairly busy attention warning system, which is to say that if you spend too much time looking at this screen, I'm going to try and make it happen now. Let's say you're figuring out your maps, or maybe you're looking at your speed or something or other. Of course, it's not going to do it now that I want it to, but it beeps. It beeps at you a lot. It beeps at you when it feels like you look tired, which the car has reliably informed me that I do today. It's fair enough, woke up at 5 o'clock. It beeps at you when you spend too much time looking at something in your navigation, and you sort of feel wronged because you have to look down here. Everything is going on down here. Again, this is something I'm just going to have to spend a bit more time with the car in order to decide how I really feel about it, but I am a little bit worried that they've ever so slightly missed the mark with this and the lack of this. But that is me being very critical, and I'm being very critical because I had extremely high hopes for this car, and I would say for the most part they've been met on first impression. I think Volvo is having a really exciting moment right now, because they've taken everything that they're known for, the practicality, the sensible thinking, the spaciousness of cabin, and they've married it with some really striking design, both inside and out. And actually this interior is maybe my favorite thing about the whole car. This whole luxury but sustainable vibe is something quite unique. I've never sat in a production car like it, to be honest, and I really want to see more of it. And when you take all of that and combine it with the platform provided by Geely, which is super modular, bespoke, which means you get the maximum space inside, it's a pretty winning formula.
Still, with the bulk of the lineup very competitive against rivals on price, on top of the fact this is a great car, the EX30 is a hugely appealing and highly impressive electric SUV for a broad market of buyers.
There are some things that I love about it. Smooth ride, beautiful cabin, and celebrating these renewable and recycled materials I think is something we need to see more of in the industry. I don't particularly like the fact that I don't have a speedo right in front of me and there's no head-up display. That really jars with me. And I would like a bit more space in the back here. But you know what? For the tag, the price tag they're selling this at, the fact that it will come in a smidge over 30 grand, this is no easy feat. Creating a car like this is so much harder than a big 80, 90,000 pound bloated luxury SUV that actually isn't fit for purpose really in countries like Europe because it doesn't really fit on the road. Whereas this does a lot for me.
I'm also very pleased with this car. I really like the look of it. I like the way it drives. I think it's keenly priced. There are a few things that are a bit annoying about it, like having to do everything through this screen and the fact that some of the buttons aren't quite where you'd want them, like the window switches. But there's reasons for that, you know, and it's all to keep the cost down by having wiring just centered around the center of the car rather than running down the doors. Also, the boot is a bit small and it's tight in the back seats, but the reason they've done that is to make more room here in the front, and it does feel quite spacious in the front. And you know what? I can actually forgive it some of those problems that I have with the car. Reason being that it's got this personality, and that plus the way it drives just makes me want it. It really makes me want it, and that is so important. I think this is an absolutely brilliant car.
I think what we can safely say today is that this car is going to be a big deal for Volvo. It's going to be popular. It's their smallest car, it's their cheapest car, and this to me represents the moment that they really arrive onto the scene of electric stuff.